Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, dear viewers. How are you today? Just fine. I hope all of you will be fine, happy, and healthy. Dear viewers, as you know, we are taking nowadays tenses as well as the language class, intercom language class as well. So today we will talk about the future indefinite tense. Already we talked about the two indefinite tense, that is present indefinite tense, पहले हाल मुतलक, past indefinite tense, पहले माजी मुतलक, and today we will talk about future indefinite tense, पहले माजी पहले मुस्तकबल मुतलक. But dear viewers, before beginning the tense, I have a suggestion that you should try your best to watch the tense completely from A to Z, because you know tense take a little bit more time, but there are total 12 tenses, and if you get command upon these tenses, so it will be helpful for you throughout your life. And you will change any kind of sentences from any language to into English if you have command upon tenses. So although it takes a little bit time, but it's very much necessary. So try to watch the tenses from A to Z in this way, inshallah. I hope your knowledge will increase about the tenses. Dear viewers, today we will talk about the future indefinite tense. What tense? Future indefinite tense. Its second name is the simple future tense as well. Some people call it simple future tense, some people call it future indefinite tense. Both have the same meaning, and the meaning is पहले मुस्तकबल मुतलक. Indefinite है, so मुतलक है. And so far the identification of this tense is concerned, पहचान इसकी, identification mean पहचान इस tense का है. So what's the identification of this tense? Ga, gi, ge. Mean when we translate this sentence into Urdu, so at the end of Urdu sentences usually ga, gi, ge come. For example, Bilal school जाएगा, Ahmad खत लिखेगा, हम क्लास लेंगे, Aisha कपड़े धोएगी. So in this way that is the identification of this tense. This identification is necessary, dear viewers, because usually in the examination for student sometime it comes that translate the sentences into English or translate the English sentences into Urdu. So if you have command upon this identification, then it will be easy for you to translate any kind of sentence correctly to any language, or particularly from Urdu to English or from English to Urdu. So for the use of this tense is concerned, so first of all we use this tense for what kind of action? फ्यूचर एक्शन और एक्टिविटी, मुस्तकबिल के एक्शन या एक्टिविटीज़ के लिए. परस करें मैं एक डायग्राम से हम शो करते हैं कि ये हमारे ज़िंदगी का स्पेन है, चल रही है, और अभी हम यहाँ पर है. ये प्रेजेंट टाइम है. ये कौन सा टाइम है? प्रेजेंट है, प्रेजेंट टाइम है. तो ये जो है ये पास्ट टेंस शो करती है कि माजी में जो कुछ हुआ है और ख़त्म हुआ है, तो यही शो करते हैं कि माजी में शुरू भी हुआ और ख़त्म भी हुआ. Right? और एक that is the structure of past indefinite tense which we discussed yesterday. If we are talking about present indefinite tense, so present indefinite tense structure we will explain in this way, that an activity begin in the past and still continue, and our intention is that it will be continue in the future as well. For habitual action we use a present indefinite tense, and our today action is, our today tense is suppose we are thinking about an activity. This is our lifespan. This one is the present moment, and we intend to do something in a specific future. So here we haven't started the activity, we are talking about the future time. So we can explain it through this diagram in this way as well. That one is the present time, and our intention is to do something in the future. So it will take place in the future time, आने वाले वक्त में. So the use of this tense is we use future this tense for future action or activity. ऐसे कामों के लिए जो मुस्तकबल में हो, मुस्तकबल में हमारे जिन कामों की करने का इरादा है, तो we use this tense for such action. For example, बिलाल स्कूल जाएगा, हम ख़त लिखेंगे, तुम कारोबार शुरू करोगे, हम लैंग्वेज कोर्स इंशाल्लाह कंप्लीट कर लेंगे। तो इसी ही गा गे गी जब एंड ऑफ द सेंटेंस कम, सो दैट इज कॉल्ड फ्यूचर इंडेफिनिट टेंस। व्हाट्स द सेकंड यूज ऑफ दिस टेंस? वी यूज़ इट फॉर अनकंट्रोलेबल एक्शन, ऐसे एक्शन जो हम कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते हैं। फॉर एग्जांपल, इसी साल मेरा उम्र 44 साल है, अगले साल में 45 साल का होगा। सो नाउ आई एम 44 एंड नेक्स्ट ईयर आई विल बी 45। सो ऐसे एक्शन जो कंट्रोल नहीं हो सकते हैं, तो ऐसे कामों के लिए भी हम फ्यूचर इंडेफिनिट टेंस यूज़ करते हैं। Thirdly, we use it for voluntary action as well. Voluntary mean रज़ाकाराना, ऐसे काम जो हम रज़ाकाराना तौर पर करते हैं। So for such action we use this tense as well. For example, if we say that close the door, so one person Hassan say I'll close the door, I will close the door, मैं इसे बंद करूँगा। या if I say bring me a glass of water, so then Muhammad Umar say that I will bring a glass of water. I'll bring mean अपने रज़ाकाराना, अपने मर्ज़ी, अपने ख्वाहिश से मैं लाऊंगा। सो फॉर सच एक्शन आल्सो वी यूज़ प्रेजेंट फ्यूचर इंडेफिनिट टेंस। एंड वी आल्सो यूज़ इट फॉर थ्रेट्स। थ्रेट्स भी, धमकी भी हम आमतौर पर फ्यूचर के लिए देते हैं। सो इफ़ यू बीट मी, सो आई विल बीट यू। सपोज अगर आपने मुझे मारा तो मैं आपको मारूंगा, या जो भी धमकी है। इफ इंडिया अटैक्ड पाकिस्तान, पाकिस्तान विल रिटेलिएट, इसका जवाब देंगे। और पाकिस्तान विल अटैक इंडिया एज वेल, सपोज। सो मीन फॉर गिविंग थ्रेट्स आल्सो। बट डियर व्यूअर्स, मोस्टली 95% वी यूज दिस टेंस फॉर फ्यूचर एक्टिविटी और फॉर फ्यूचर एक्शन। मुस्तक़बिल के कामों के लिए या मुस्तक़बिल की सरगर्मियों के लिए जब हम बात करते हैं, सो वी यूज़ दिस टेंस। नाउ लेट्स कम टू द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ दिस टेंस, इसकी साख्त को कि ये टेंस कैसे बनेगा। सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी यूज़ व्हाट? सब्जेक्ट। व्हाट डज सब्जेक्ट मीन? फाइल, काम करने वाला। देन ऑक्सिलरी वर्ब विल यूज। व्हाट विल यूज? will auxiliary verb we will use, and then verb which form? First form, and then rest of the sentence होगा। और मनफी स्ट्रक्चर भी साथ साथ हम डिस्कस कर लेंगे। सबसे पहले हम एस मीन सब्जेक्ट फाइल लगाएंगे अगर मनफी जुमला बयान करते हैं। देन क्या लगाएंगे? will not। लेकिन will not का कंट्रैक्शन फॉर्म क्या है? won't। द नेटिव स्पीकर डोंट से will not, I will not call you, but they say I won't call you। will not contraction form won't, and then verb first form होगा, we mean verb, one mean first form, and then rs mean rest of the sentence होगा, बाकीमानदा जुमला होगा। You should keep it in mind, dear viewers and listener, that there are basically 8 modal auxiliary. How many modal auxiliaries are there? 8. They are will, would, shall, should, and should, can, could, may, might, might, and must as well. Must, and ought to is also can, could be, and may, might, and must. Ought to also come, ought to also come in the category of modal auxiliary. So they are called modal auxiliary. Some people call it modal auxiliary, but modal auxiliary. What are they? मॉडल ऑक्सिलरी इमदादी अफ़ाल है लेकिन मॉडल ऑक्सिलरी है। एंड आफ्टर ऑल दीज मॉडल ऑक्सिलरी वी विल यूज वर्ब फर्स्ट फॉर्म। वी विल यूज वर्ब व्हिच फॉर्म? फर्स्ट फॉर्म। Sometime most of the student commit this mistake that they use after will ing form of the verb or present participle form. They say I will going to Peshawar tomorrow, so that is wrong. I will go to Peshawar tomorrow, yeah. So फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर और वेल का कंट्रैक्शन फॉर्म क्या है डियर व्यूअर्स? एल, जैसे हम आम तौर पर एल प्रोनाउंस करते हैं, सो दैट इज द कंट्रैक्शन फॉर्म ऑफ वेल। फॉर एग्जाम्पल बिलाल पेशावर जाएगा, बिलाल एल गो टू पेशावर, और बिलाल पेशावर नहीं जाएगा, गुड, बिलाल वोंट गो टू चतराल, सपोज वोंट गो टू चतराल। या हम चाय पिएंगे, गुड, वीएल टेक टी, वीएल टेक टी, टेक मीन पीना, और हम कोल्ड ड्रिंक्स नहीं पिएंगे, we won't take cold drinks, या we won't have cold drinks. So will not का contraction form won't बताएंगे आप. Similarly अहमद कुरान मजीद की तिलावत करेगा, गुड, अहमद will recite the holy Quran, अहमद will recite the holy Quran. और अहमद नावल का मुतालिया नहीं करेगा, हाँ, Ahmad won't study novel, Ahmad won't study novel. So will and won't, we will use will for positive sentences and won't for negative sentences in this tense, and we will use verb first form. We won't use verb second form, but verb ing form also we won't use. We will use verb first form, base form, or lexical form in this, and will be used as auxiliary verb. Sometime with I and we can also use shall, but nowadays the native speaker ahli zuban jo hai, they don't use shall, they use will with all kind of noun and pronoun, I, we, you, he, she, they, a singular noun, plural noun, with all of them they use will, because they say that there is no contraction form of shall. I'll play, I'll call you, I'll go to Peshawar, I'll remember you. So the contraction form of will is L, but there is no contraction or short form or shall. So that's why the native speaker nowadays in the modern English, they don't use shall, they use mostly will. But shall is also correct, not wrong if you use. So I think you will have learned the positive structure of this tense. It will be better to write 20 sentences positive in this formula and 20 negative sentences of will and won't and verb past form to learn this tense very well. Yeah. Now we are going to similarly, when we talk about the interrogative structure or the question structure of this tense, dear viewers, we use the auxiliary verb will in the beginning of the sentence, and then we use subject or file, then verb past form, and then rest of the sentence mean baqimanda jumla. For example, if we write a positive sentence, suppose Bilal will call you, Bilal will call you. So this is positive sentence. When we want to make the question sentence, so this will come to the place of subject and subject will go to the place of auxiliary verb. But here then you will write W in capital letter. Will Bilal call you? Will Bilal call you? And then you will put a question mark. Question mark, because it become a question sentence. Will Bilal call you? So yes, he will, yeah, no, he won't. So that is the structure, dear viewers, that when we make the question sentence of this tense, we use will in the beginning, then subject, then verb first form, and then rest of the sentence. And if the structure is negative interrogative, so then we use won't in the beginning. Will not का contraction form तो won't है, we use won't in the beginning. After won't then we use subject, file, and after that verb past form, and then rest of the sentence. For example, if I ask you क्या तुम Peshawar जाओगे? Good. Will you go to Peshawar? So अगर जाते हो तो क्या कहेंगे? या yes I will, या yes we will, सब्जेक्ट के बारे. और अगर नहीं जाएंगे तो क्या कहेंगे? No we won't, या no I won't. Similarly, अगर मैं कहो क्या आयशा पेशावर जाएगी? Will Aisha go to Peshawar? So जवाब क्या होगा? Yes she will. और नहीं? No she won't. क्या बिलाल पेशावर जाएगा? Will Bilal go to Peshawar? अगर जाता है तो क्या? Yes he will. Bilal is male, so we will use he. और अगर नहीं जाएगा? No he won't. He'll go to Lahore. Complete form then. इसी तरह क्या खलील और सलीम इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज क्लास में दाखिला लेंगे? Will Khalil and Salim take admission in the English language class? तो वो तो दो हो गए, तो अगर लेंगे तो क्या कहेंगे? यस दे विल, दे प्लूरल हो गया, यस दे विल। और अगर नहीं, उनका इरादा नहीं है तो क्या फिर नो दे वोंट, दे जमा के लिए आप यूज़ कर लेंगे। इसी तरह अगर मनफी सवालिया स्ट्रक्चर हो डियर व्यूअर तो वोंट कहेंगे, क्या तुम मुझे कॉल नहीं करोगे, वोंट यू कॉल मी। तो अगर करोगे तो क्या कहेंगे, येस आई विल। और अगर नहीं करोगे, नो आई वोंट, नो आई वोंट। क्या बिलाल इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज क्लास नहीं लेगा, गुड, वोंट बिलाल टेक इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज क्लास, येस ही विल, नो ही वोंट, राइट। क्या तुम सब्जी नहीं खरीदोगे, गुड, वोंट यू बाई वेजिटेबल, बाई मीन खरीदना, वोंट यू बाई वेजिटेबल, येस आई विल, नो आई वोंट। क्या हम कुरान मजीद की तिलावत नहीं करेंगे, गुड, वोंट वी रिसाइट द होली कुरान, येस वी विल, नो वी वोंट, नो वी वोंट। I think, dear viewers, you will have understood the negative structure, the question negative structure, and the simple interrogative structure you will have learned when you want to use a question about the future activity or future action. So you can use in two ways, and in this situation you will use will in the beginning and then subject. Will you call me, will you go to Peshawar, will you write a letter for me, will you write an application for me. Similarly, will you watch the match tomorrow. You can also use the future time expression with it as well. Will you play cricket next week, right. Yes I will and no I won't. The question is in will form, so the answer will be also in the will form. We should answer in the same tense in which the question is usually asked. And now brother, the last structure of this tense is a WH question. What type of question? WH or information question. These are yes no question, and the answer of which we can give in the form of yes or no. But information or WH question are those which begin from WH word and then will, then subject, then verb past form, and then rest of the sentence, and then sign of interrogation. We must put sign of interrogation in the question sentences. Mostly the student forgets this in the written examination or when they are writing sentences, so they don't put the question mark. So don't forget to put the question mark at the end of question sentences. सवालिया जुमलों के आखिर में सवालिया निशान लगाना न भूलिए, ये ज़रूर याद रखिए कि क्वेश्चन जुमला सवालिया है, so we should put the question mark. So we wrote in the last tense also the WH words are 6 words. What are they? What, who, where, when, which, yeah, why, and how. Very good. These are WH question. So what we use to ask about non-living thing, plant and animal. We use who to ask about ह्यूमन बीइंग, इंसानों के बारे में जब हम पूछते हैं. व्हाट मीन बेजान चीज़ों के बारे में ज़्यादातर. वी यूज़ वेयर टू आस्क अबाउट प्लेस, कहाँ के बारे में. वी यूज़ व्हेन टू टॉक अबाउट टू आस्क अबाउट टाइम, गुड टाइम. वी यूज़ व्हिच टू आस्क अबाउट चॉइस, टू आस्क अबाउट व्हाट choice. And we use why to ask about reason or purpose, reason वजह के बारे में. And we use how to ask about condition, हालत के बारे में. So we will discuss this in detail in its own place, but today we are just talking about the information question of the future indefinite tense. तो for example बिलाल कहाँ जाएगा. Where will Bilal go tomorrow? Where will Bilal go tomorrow? So he'll go to Peshawar, he'll go to Karachi. Yeah, answer. Similarly, अगर हम कहें कि तुम शादी के लिए तुम क्या खरीदोगे. Good. What will, contraction form it is better to say. What will you buy for the marriage? What will you buy for the marriage? Buy mean, so I'll buy new shoes and new clothes for the marriage. Similarly अगर हम ये कहें कि तुम किसके साथ पेशावर जाओगे. who will you go to? Peshawar. So I'll go with my father, I'll go with my mother, right? I'll go with my friends. Similarly, तुम ग्रामर के बुक का मुतालिया कब करोगे? Good. When will you study? Good. When will you study grammar book? So I'll study in this month. I'll study. I will. So I'll contraction form you should use. I'll study this week. या अगर हम कहें कि तुम कौन सा मोबाइल ख़रीदोगे या बिलाल कौन सा मोबाइल ख़रीदेंगे, बिलाल कहो जो भी सब्जेक्ट हो, यू वी दे, सिंगुलर प्लूरल नाउन. Which mobile phone Bilal will buy? Which mobile phone Bilal will buy? So he'll buy C3 or जो भी mobile phone हो, so he can iPad or anyone you can talk about. Which mobile phone, कौन सा mobile, which car he'll buy, which mean to ask about choice, right? And similarly we use why to ask about reason. For example, तुम क्यों कुरान मजीद की तिलावत करोगे? Why will you recite the Holy Quran? Why will you recite the Holy Quran? So I'll recite the Holy Quran to get the knowledge from it and lead my life a happy one, right? Similarly, तुम कैसे ख़त लिखोगे? Good. How will you write the letter? So I'll write on the laptop, I'll write on handwriting, right? So we can use any WH question, then any kind of subject, singular or plural noun, to ask about the future event or future activity. So dear viewers and listener, if the question is the information question and negative, so then we will use why, any WH word and then won't instead of will, won't. For example, तुम पिशावर क्यों नहीं जाओगे? Why won't you go to Peshawar? Because I am sick, क्योंकि मैं बीमार हो. या तुम अगर हम ये कहें कि तुम सब्ज़ी क्यों नहीं ख़रीदोगे? Why won't you buy the vegetable? Yeah, because I have already brought it or bought it. मैंने पहले ही से ये लाया है या ख़रीदा है. So why won't? Similarly, where won't you play cricket? तुम कहाँ क्रिकेट नहीं खेलोगे फ्यूचर में? When won't you watch the TV? तुम कब मैच टीवी पर ड्रामा नहीं देखोगे? When won't you watch the drama on the TV? So won't we use for negative question sentences, when which question is also there and negative is also there. I hope you will have understood this tense up to some extent. Inshallah, we will discuss it further and further in the coming classes, but you should try to learn the basics of this tense, which because in our day-to-day activities we use future time also. About 10-15% talking is about the future, कि मैं ये करूँगा, ये नहीं करूँगा, क्या तुम ये करोगे या नहीं करोगे, तो क्यों ऐसे नहीं करोगे. तो यही गा गेगी वाले अल्फाज और जुमले we also use in our day-to-day activities. So we should try to get command upon this tense. So try to benefit from this yourselves, as well as share and subscribe the channel with your near and dear one. Thank you so much for watching the video.